Probability practice exercise number 43. A certain virus infects 1 in every 400 people. Well, let's start there. Generally, we use the 10,000 for our total. So before we had been given a percent, and we would find a percent of that total number. But remember, percent also can be written as a fraction, which also can be written as a decimal. So technically, I'm looking for 1/400th because it infects 1 in every 400 people. So I want that fraction of 10,000 to figure out how many total people are infected. So when I multiply those together, I get 25. So as we know, all we have to do to get the number of people not infected are to subtract 10,000 minus 25, and I get 9,975. Okay? All right, so we have that first bit of information taken care of. A test used to detect the virus in a person is positive 90% of the time. So we're talking about this row right here, the positive row. Is positive 90% of the time if the person has the virus. Okay, so that means they are infected. So how many people were infected? 25. So 90% of 25 people is going to be 22 5/10. All right, to figure out how many people were infected but they tested negative, we're going to subtract the 25 minus the 22.5 because this whole column should total 25. And that will give us 2 5/10. All right, the next bit of information says 10%, okay, they will test positive. They're talking about the person will test positive 10% of the time if the person does not have the virus. So still we're looking at the row of testing positive, but we're saying 10% of the people that were not infected tested positive. So we now need to find 10% of that 9,975. Okay, and that's going to give us 997 5/10, which I think maybe some of us could do in our head just by moving the decimal there. All right, so to figure out the number of people who tested negative and they were not infected, we're just going to subtract the 997 5/10 from the 9,975, and that gives us 8,977 5/10. Okay, at this point, to get the total of the number of people who tested positive, we're just going to add this row together, and that's going to give us 10,020. And to fill out the chart, we're going to take the 10,000 and we're going to subtract the 1,020, and that will give me 8,980. Okay, now they want us, okay, here they say let A be the event the person is infected. And B be the event the person tests positive. So on A, they want us to find the probability that a person has the virus given that they test positive. So that's what we're looking for right here. Okay? So remember, we're only going to look at the total since it's a conditional probability. Our total is not going to be the 10,000. It's going to be the 1,020. And how many of those tested positive? 22 5/10. And generally speaking, we multiply by 100%. Now on both number 43 and number 44, we weren't really given rounding instructions. Something I plan on, I'm going to remedy that on the next note packet, I do believe. So this will round to 2 2/10%. We'll just round to the nearest tenth of a percent. Okay, B asks us to find the probability that a person does not have the virus. Okay, so they are not infected. Okay, given that they test negative. We really haven't done a lot of these, but that's okay. And this row is where all the people who tested negative. So we're going to be dividing by 8,980 this time. And the number of people who were not infected was 8,977 and 5/10 times 100%. Well, we're going to go ahead and take that out to 2 decimal places, because if we rounded to the nearest decimal place, we'll get 100%. And I think we know intuitively that that wasn't all the people. So let's go ahead and take it out to one more decimal place, and we get 99 and 97 hundredths of a percent.